In 2008, Kosovo became Europe's newest country. This small state of 1.8 million people emerged as a result of one of Europe's most brutal sectarian conflicts since the Second World War. It was a conflict that pitted an authoritarian nationalist leader, Slobodan Milosevic.
When bombing stops, then it will be very easy to continue political process.
Against Western military power.
We must not allow ethnic cleansing or genocide, particularly at the edge of Europe.
Today, Kosovo is peaceful but poor.
Kosovo didn't only transition from war to peace. It was transition now from communist country to a capitalist one, from a ravaged countryside to the one being rebuilt.
Kosovo was part of Serbia from 1912. Then, in 1918, Serbia became part of what would become Yugoslavia.
Serbs considered and say that Kosovo is their Jerusalem. It was the sort of heart of Serbia.
To this day, Kosovo is still divided along ethnic lines. Over 90% of its population are ethnic Albanians, who are mostly Muslim. Serbs, who are Orthodox Christians, account for about 5%.
This is the southern city of Pristina, capital of Kosovo province.
Throughout the 1980s, Kosovo enjoyed autonomy within Serbia, but the majority ethnic Albanian population wanted more political freedom.
Kosovo Albanian nationalism was growing. There were demands that Kosovo become a republic. Kosovo Serbs began to complain, saying that they were threatened.
But there was one man standing in the way of Kosovo Albanians, Slobodan Milosevic, the leader of the Serbian Communist Party. Milosevic wanted to keep Kosovo as part of Serbia. He rallied the minority Serb population and further divided Kosovo.
Slobodan Milosevic used the Kosovo Serb issue to take power and to play the nationalist card, which was to propel him to full power within Serbia.
In 1989, Milosevic became president of Serbia, and within weeks placed Kosovo back under the direct control of his Serbian government. Petric Salimi was growing up in Kosovo at the time. He and his family belonged to the ethnic Albanian majority.
When Milosevic came to power, we lost our status. Our political rights were lost, our economic freedoms were lost, and our education rights were lost.
As communism collapsed across Central and Eastern Europe, Yugoslavia began to disintegrate. From 1991, its republics declared independence. Wars broke out in Slovenia, Croatia and Bosnia as ethnic Serbs living in these new countries opposed independence. So he sent his troops to support Serbs in these conflicts. During this turbulent time, Kosovo's political leadership declared independence too, but this was ignored by Serbia and the international community. In the late 1990s, a guerrilla group, the Kosovo Liberation Army, or KLA, began to attack Serbian police units. Its aim was to win independence through force.
It was a mixture of excitement, but fear that something big is about to unfold.
Milosevic sent more Serbian security forces into Kosovo to defeat the KLA.
The Serbian security forces and the Yugoslav army were pretty brutal. I mean, the KLA was quite brutal as well, but the overwhelming preponderance of force, of course, was on the side of the Serbian security force.
As Serbian forces retook territory from the KLA, thousands of Kosovo Albanians fled their homes. The images shocked the West. At a peace conference in France, Western powers gave Serbia and Kosovo Albanians an ultimatum: accept a peace deal or face military action.
We're not interested in a partial agreement, we're interested in a settlement that works.
The Serbs rejected the deal.
We are not talking to Albanians, we are talking to Americans who would like to take our territory for themselves and for NATO. And Albanians were just excuse for that.
NATO resolved to punish Milosevic and his army and began airstrikes on Serb military targets in Kosovo and throughout Serbia itself.
It is about creating the kind of world where an innocent people are not singled out
for repression, for expulsion, for destruction, just because of their religious and ethnic heritage.
During the war, my parents, my brother, fled the neighborhood. We were kicked out by the paramilitaries. They were hiding in the forest. I didn't know for several days are they alive or not.
After 78 days of bombing and hundreds of civilian deaths, Serbia capitulated. Milosevic withdrew his forces from Kosovo. NATO tanks rolled in and Petric was reunited with his family. As Kosovo Albanians returned, tens of thousands of ethnic Serbs fled north to Serbia. It would be another 9 years before Kosovo finally declared independence. Today, Kosovo has a rough and ready democracy and a growing economy, but unemployment is high at 33%. In recent years, clashes caused by ethnic tension have erupted on occasions.
Today, most Kosovo Serbs consider themselves citizens of Serbia. They don't recognise the Kosovo state and they don't feel a part of it.
External pressure could improve those strained relations. Both Kosovo and Serbia are working to join the European Union.
I don't think either of us will be able to join the European family until we sort out the issues with each other. Dialogue is the only way we can move forward.
If Kosovo and Serbia are to become EU member states, their governments and peoples will have to work together and bury their bloody past.